You know, what if all the words that build you up or tear you down were actually just echoes? We're going to dive into this ancient text that kicks off with a super simple question about a name, but believe me, it ends up flipping our whole view of reality on its head.
I mean, really think about it. You get a great performance review and you're walking on air for a week, right? But then one nasty comment on social media can just wreck your whole day. We give so much power to these words. But what if they're not solid? What if they're just echoes in a canyon, totally empty of any real substance?
So this all brings us to a fascinating text called the Sutra of the Dharma Phrase. In it, this seeker, a bodhisattva named Baomeng, goes up to the Buddha. And he doesn't ask about, the secrets of the cosmos or anything like that. He asks something way more personal. He basically says, hey, what's up with my name? Why this name? What does it really mean? And let me tell you, the Buddha's answer, it just unravels everything.
So yeah, this one little question about a name, it becomes the key that unlocks this huge, profound teaching on the nature of reality itself. Okay, so the Buddha's logic here is just brilliant. He basically says, look, a name isn't some solid, real thing. Because if it was, right, you could just say the word food and poof, your stomach would be full. Obviously, that doesn't happen. But, he says, it's not totally meaningless either. If it was, how could we ever teach anything? How could we even talk to each other? So what's the takeaway? Names are just useful labels, conventions. They don't have any real substance on their own. And if that's true for something as simple as a name, well, it's got to be true for big concepts like praise and blame too.
And this idea that names are basically just an illusion, that's really just the tip of the iceberg. It's the starting point. So if our words are empty, what else is? The Buddha then introduces this incredibly powerful concept to help us see through the whole shebang.
And this is where it gets really practical. This isn't just some dusty, abstract philosophy, It's a direct path to emotional freedom. Because when you really get it, when you grasp that the labels people throw around, good, bad, smart, dumb, are fundamentally empty, they lose their grip on you. You're not a puppet on a string anymore, yanked around by what everyone else thinks.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this whole illusion of a solid world even get built? Well, the sutra breaks it down really simply. It says you've got 3 points of contact. First, there's the inner, that's your senses, your eyes, your ears, all that. Then there's the outer, sights, sounds, smells, everything out in the world. And then there's the middle. That's your mind, your consciousness, that pops up right between the two and connects them. And it's in that middle space, that's where all the drama, all our attachments and our frustrations, that's where it all begins.
And to make this even clearer, the sutra uses these amazing, really vivid analogies to show how our own minds are constantly tricking us.
This first one is, wow, it's powerful. Just picture this. You're in a desert, you're desperately thirsty, and you see what looks like a beautiful pool of water way off in the distance. So you run for it, right? But the closer you get, it just vanishes. It was never really there. Just a mirage, a trick of the light. The sutra says that is how we live. We're constantly chasing after things, more money, more status, more pleasure, thinking this will be the thing that finally satisfies us. But it's all a mirage. There's no real lasting substance there.
And this all points to the central concept here, emptiness. Now, it is so important to get this right. Emptiness does not mean nothingness, that nothing exists. Not at all. It just means that nothing exists on its own, independently. Think about a table. Is it just a table? No, right? It's wood, it's a carpenter's work, it's a design, it's nails, and it's our agreement to call it a table. It's just a temporary mashup of causes and conditions. It's like a wave in the ocean. You can't pull the wave out and have it exist separately from the water. In the same way, nothing has a solid, permanent, independent self.
Here's another great analogy the sutra uses, a dream. Think about having a really bad nightmare. The fear you feel is 100% real, right? You can wake up sweating with your heart pounding out of your chest, but the second you open your eyes, you realize none of it was solid. The monster, the cliff you are falling off of, it's all gone. The sutra says enlightenment is basically like that. It's waking up from the dream of our regular life and seeing that all the stuff we get so incredibly worked up about is just as fleeting, just as dreamlike.
Now, the text is also really clear about something. Seeing through all these deep-seated illusions is, well, it's incredibly hard to do by yourself. And that's why it stresses just how crucial it is to have a guide, what it calls a good spiritual friend.
And I just love this part. The sutra uses these absolutely beautiful poetic metaphors to describe what this guide is like. They're not just a teacher,
They're a doctor who can heal your mind's confusion, a bright lamp to cut through the darkness, a strong ship to carry you through the stormy seas of life. This guide is someone who really gets the nature of reality and can show you the way.
All right, so you need to prepare yourself for this next part because this is where the teaching gets, well, truly radical. It takes everything we think we know about good and bad, about what helps us and what hurts us on the path, and it flips it completely upside down.
I mean, listen to this quote. Buddhas rely on greed and anger. Just let that sink in. How on earth can that be possible? This might be the most profound point in the whole text. What it's saying is that the very things we think of as poison, our toughest emotions, our biggest flaws, our anger, our craving, our confusion, they are not obstacles we need to get rid of. They are the actual, literal raw material for enlightenment.
And then this line just drives the point home perfectly. It says, dust and toil are the seeds of all Buddhas. That phrase, dust and toil, it's talking about all the messy stuff of being human. All our struggles, our screw-ups, our defilements. And the text is saying that this mess, it's not trash you need to throw out. No, it's the fertile soil where the seeds of wisdom actually grow. You don't find enlightenment by running away from your life. You find it by digging right into the middle of it.
So what this all leads to is this absolutely radical shift in perspective. The conventional view is that we have to fight our inner demons, right? We have to escape the cycle of life and death to find some peace somewhere else. But this sutra says, nope, wrong way. Your demons are the path. This very life, with all of its glorious messiness, is nirvana, once you learn to see it clearly with wisdom. Freedom isn't some destination you have to get to. It's right here, right now, hidden inside the struggle itself.
And so that leaves us with something really powerful to think about. If this ancient text is onto something, if the hardest parts of our lives, all that dust and toil, are actually the source code for our own awakening, well, how does that change the way you look at your own challenges? What if that thing you see as your biggest obstacle is actually your greatest opportunity?